All right, Jacqueline, sorry I'm so late. I ended up having crisis with the weekend with a debate tournament, so you're just fine. We're working with you, so don't stress at all here. First thing, you were asking about how to see comments on your writings. So let me just show you how that works. You go in here and into your grades button. Obviously, you won't see everything of mine, so I'll get here as quickly as I can to yours. And show you what you see. And then how you do this. So I really appreciate the fact that you have been putting in your drafts and things like this, doing the discussion boards on your own. I really appreciate that. You can see you're doing really well. On these, when you want to see the feedback that I'm leaving you, click here on the title of the piece. And then you'll see comments here. Pardon me. And then over here, you'll see the view feedback pane. And then down in here, you'll see comments and feedback that I give you in here. For this, it was really good as far as rough draft, especially since we didn't get to get your rough draft looked at really well by anyone. So the biggest thing for a narrative is to pick one of these things that makes you who you are, or one of these things that was an experience that made you who you are, and just focus on telling that story in and of itself and making that work. For example, let me see if I can look in here under my stuff here. I shared with the class an example that I have from my live here that I was doing, and let's see if I can find it. Where are you? So here's a story by someone here that my heart was beating so fast I could feel it racing on my chest, preparing to mentally challenge. He's focused simply on that game and that moment and what he learns from it here. Headphones on, listening to music, pumping up. I entered the stadium, could feel the excitement in the air, walking up to meet the opposing team's captains, hoping to get ahead for the coin toss. Threw it up, landed. You get a sense of action and momentum and stuff like that. What he could have done more here is add thoughts and feelings to it about what he was feeling emotionally about that, how he felt about what was going on, the thoughts rushing through his head, etc. And then more than just being champions at the end, but a reflection on how that changed him and made him who he is as a person, and experience that. So this would be an example of focusing on just one moment, though, in your piece rather than all the different pieces here. So feel free to rewrite that and resend that to me, email it to me, and I will be happy to look at that again and make it better. The whole point of this is for you to get better and to learn and grow from it. Then when we go back here, we're looking at the self-study part 1, which you did great. You did just right. You turned in as an explanation of each piece that you were looking at, just as said. The self-study part 2 I haven't seen yet though, but I'll show you how we do that really quick after we look at this. So on this, you did great. You've got these pieces about what they're about and your samples and artifacts, which is perfect. So let me show you how you would then write that up. I gave you the organizational piece where you looked at the things you noticed, you reflected on them, looked at the specifics and details. I had handed that and gave it to you with instructions on it. I hope that that got to you. Okay, but let me show you what one of these looks like for that. So let's see, self-study. Final draft here of someone's. So in this, you introduce what it is you noticed about what you're doing. So I was working on my self-analysis, analyzing the way I write with different platforms, the way I communicate, where with pet peeves. So these are the things that she was talking about. Here I told her to include the names of the pieces or the types of the pieces that she looked at. And then here, first thing that you're talking about, what did you notice? And then examples from her pieces that she's looking at. So in here, she's looking at how she looks at grammar, and then she's looking at those things, what other people are doing, and then she looks at it, how she does it in her own piece here, and the grammar, and the types of things that they're doing. So this one was a rough draft of it, and the things that I was telling her were to put the specifics in, to put in the examples from the text that she had that could help her. And then when we look at this here, a sample self-study here, of this individual's, a more final draft. Oops, that's the instructions, so sorry. Where is it? So sorry, I thought I had this all pulled up. Let me go find one here. That was an example from last semester that was really good. And I'm going to pause this for a second while I do that. Be right with you. So I've got this downloaded now, and here it is pulled up here. So let's look at this really quickly. This was one that got near 100% last quarter on this. A very good, strong opening here, introducing about him as a writer, and then his specific things that he's going to talk about when he does it in here. He's halfway through a sentence. He doesn't make things flow. He's also found that he uses unnecessary words and sentences and things like that he's in there. Could have been a little more clear in that, but it was pretty decent. And then he introduces his idea. He uses more complicated words, etc. And then he introduces, the only thing that he should have done here is instead put in my American Dream essay I wrote, and then this, and then here at the end he should have put in artifact number 1, so that we have that reference points. Those are the two things that he messed up, which is why I didn't get completely a full score. He talks about what this example was, and then he analyzes how those big words complicated things. He analyzes what it did to it and what he's been working on and how he notices some other things that he's done. And then he keeps going to connect the ideas again about expressing himself and adding humor. Again, he should have introduced the piece and then cited it at the end of the quote instead of just labeling it that way. So basically all you're doing with the information that you had in self-study 1 is to write up more of the analysis of what you found in your pieces and that you notice across the board, what's different about certain things, what's not, what's similar about them and why, about what you do. You're just looking at how you write and what you use and why you're doing that. Then at the end of it, you'll put Appendix A, you'll put your first piece of writing, then Appendix B, your second piece, and then Appendix C, and do that, or artifact, however you want to call it. So let me know if you have more questions about how to write that up. Basically, you're just writing up your findings of what you found out about how you write and what you do when you write across the different things you looked at. How you use color, how you use font, whatever it might be. And do that. Then, let's go back over here. We have just started, today we discussed the book that you're supposed to be reading, David and Goliath. And so since you missed our Socratic, what you'll want to do is go in here and do the Gladwell Socratic for those who missed it. And then we also talked about rhetoric and what it's all about and all those types of things. So you'll want to do the readings in your packet, the OER packet. Let me show you those pages really quick. In your textbook, after you've also looked, if you need to also, you can look at samples of self-studies in here as well. After the culturegram, there are samples of what they look like or how you could do your self-study write-up and how people have embedded it and put their artifacts at the end as well. Please use those. That will help you. In this unit, we're talking about rhetoric, and then we read these articles on rhetoric, and I have links to these in the OER on the front page. I'll show you here in a second and how to get there. But and then we talked about how writers make choices. This one cut off the bottom, so make sure you look at the link for OER on that one and the link that I've got there. Then we talked, this is just about how to analyze stuff. Today, what we did after we talked about the rhetorical tools, and I'll hopefully upload that PowerPoint for you as well. Remind me if I don't send it to you what PowerPoint has in it. And so sorry. I had this better organized when I thought it out for you. We looked at the different parts of rhetoric, and you've usually been taught that logos, pathos, ethos are the triangle of rhetoric. However, those are the end results or what we're trying to get across. It's not the tools that we use. Those aren't the rhetorical choices that we make. Those are the effects that we want to get out of the choices we make. Rhetorical choices that we make as a writer to create logos or to be logical would be to use facts and figures, to use graphs and images, to use scientific numbers or knowledge or statistics or data to create that logic or logically explain things. Or we might want to create feelings and get them to connect to the feelings of people using pathos. But those aren't the tools that we use. We might use anecdotal stories, imagery, again, numbers and statistics that make us think and to feel emotional about a situation. 100 out of 150 car accidents cause death. You know, that's an emotional response as well as facts and figures. So we're going to do this. Ethos is the credibility of how we do things, but it's not necessarily what it is we do. We establish ethos or credibility by saying who we are, why we should trust us, why we should trust the information you're giving us. We're giving you through the sources, the credibility of the sources that we're giving. And so when we look at this graph here, we're looking at the writer. They have a purpose. They're trying to get something across. They want to reach the audience in a certain way, so they're using specific tools to get this response out of them. So in this example for me out of the book, he has the U-curve that he talks about in David and Goliath. And so in the U-curve, he's using statistics and data to create and establish authority and ethos and credibility with the audience, and to get across this idea of information to understand the rest of the book, that we hit a point where too good and too bad are the same. And there's this middle point. And so we look at those different things. The constraints that one might have is how limited you are. What is it? If you're texting someone, you're limited by emojis or characters or how fast your thumb can type or quickly you want to get things out. If you're tweeting, it's limited by the characters. If you're in a paper, it might be the constraints of you have to have so many words or so few words, and you've got to do it in a certain way, formal or informal papers. The genre would be the type of things that you're writing. Is it a tweet? Is it a film? Is it a music? Is it lyrics? Whatever it is. Exigence is the urgency with which they want us to act as a writer. Is it something that we have to vitally do right now? Is it something they want to impact us at this moment? Or is it just information to think about and take with us? And the occasion is the context, the situation in which we are doing and having information happen. So, for instance, you in my classroom is the occasion. The importance is the urgency with which you need to know the information and do it. I might use different situations and different types of information to get this across. For example, I might use PowerPoints, or this video would be the genre in which I'm doing it. The constraints are that I'm doing it over video and not in person with you, and we're limited by that kind of contact in situations. I'm trying to help you understand the information that's coming across logically, informationally, etc. I'm using videos, PowerPoints, paper explanation in order to reach you. Those are the rhetorical strategies. The effects on the audience, the effects we're creating would be credibility or feelings and emotion or the logic. So logos, pathos, and ethos are what we're trying to get out of something, the end result, a group of strategies and tools that we might use, but it's not the choice itself. So hopefully that makes sense to you in that way. And I think that here in this article about what rhetoric is and can be will help explain that as well, on rhetoric, and that writers make choices. So you can find those OER resources here at thepressbooks.com. It's about, and you can type in the slick type of things like that is where these are at. I think I also have a link on here. Where did I go? Did I close out of that? Yikes. Just a second. Here we go. I love it when I do this. You caught me on a flustery day. I'm trying to help you out though. So here, go down here. Yes, right here. If you click on this open online reading sources, that'll have all these articles that we're talking about here. You can go click on here and type in writers make choices if you need to read all of that article that's missing part of it. And that'll come to you here. And then if you have questions or want to discuss it, I'm happy to do that with you as well. So those are things that you'll want to do there to be ready for what we're talking about on the rhetoric and rhetorical choices. And I'll make another video for you on that. Or next time, let's just use this for right now and let this go. And if you have questions at all, please feel free to email me if it didn't make any sense whatsoever, which I probably didn't because I'm exhausted right now. Let me know and I'll get back to you with that. All right, talk to you later. Bye.